Hi there, in this video we are looking at the brand new RC220D Pro from Smallrig. This here is the second generation of COB lights from Smallrig, aimed to compete with lights like the Amaranth 200D. Now the 220D is a daylight balanced light, and Smallrig claims a TLCI of 96 and a CRI value greater than 95. And just for fun, I figured we'd compare this to some other lights in this same category to kind of see what we're up against. Both the B, which is the bicolor version, and the daylight version comes in this little padded carrying case, which I've now filled up with a bunch of weird things, but this is what it looks like. I'll probably show you a better picture here as B-roll. Comes in this case with a 6-meter long power cable and a bonus mount reflector, which we've already attached. On the daylight version, we have our control surface right here with a little dimmer button, which sits here. We also have a frequency button, which is used to control the speed or the pulsation and the blinking of all the built-in lighting effects, which we access by pressing this little mode button right here. The light can also be controlled with the Smallrig GoGo app and by DMX. But hands down, the most standout feature of this light is obviously the option or the possibility to run this light directly on regular V-mounts without the hassle of using a ballast with a V-mount plate and that sort of stuff. Just going to show you here real quick. So this here is the ballast for the key light we're using in the studio, and if you can see here, we've got a little V-mount plate at the back of this thing. So in order to run this on battery, you have to bring at least this part here with the cables and everything. But here, you can just slap it directly on the light and you're good to go. Now, smaller batteries like this 99 SE with a voltage of around 14-15 volts will limit the output to 68%, and the light will actually show you 68% as the highest value. Same thing if you want to switch this into silent mode, which will kill all the fans and make it completely quiet. It would also limit the output to 20%, and you do that, by the way, by clicking this reset button 3 times. 20% might not sound like a whole lot, but I'm actually going to show you here. So let's turn this on, and I have my trusty little bounce here against the wall, and I have no idea of how I'm going to show you that we're actually setting this to 20%, but yeah, we're at 20%, and I'm gonna flip this over like so, point it to the bounce here right outside the frame, and as you can see, none of the light is hitting me directly. This is all just from the bounce here. So if we dim this down, and now we're back at the 60 watt key light that I'm running, which is actually at 64% right now. So now let's look at some color accuracy and skin tones with the RC220D and some other lights that I have here in my studio. And just a heads up, I don't have any fancy spectrometers or anything, so these are going to be real world tests for lack of a better word. While we take a look at these side by sides, let me tell you about today's sponsor, Artlist. 2025 is here, new year, new creative ideas. And when it comes to creating, my favorite resource for music, sound effects and more is Artlist. It's a platform where creators can find everything they need to bring their ideas to life, from amazing music and sound effects to high quality stock footage and much, much more. When I first browsed their music library, it felt like I was flipping through a great record collection. Music that felt real, organic, and played by actual bands, not just composed for YouTube or social media. Since then, I've upgraded to the Artlist Max plan, and that's been a game changer. They've got stock footage in RAW and log that looks so good, it'll redefine how you think about stock footage. I mean, imagine if you need a nice shot of a park, but you're not technically allowed near any parks. Another feature that I've been using a lot is their artboards. It's like a personal workspace where you can collect music, sound effects, and footage for your upcoming projects. It's such a simple idea, but incredibly handy when you're dealing with multiple creative ideas, or maybe your head is just a creative mess just like mine. And if you ever needed a voiceover, their AI voiceover engine is a lifesaver. You can adjust accents, emotions, and even speed, which is great for when my Swinglish morning voice isn't cutting it. If you sign up to one of the yearly plans with the link below, you'll get 2 extra months added to your subscription for free. Now that looks like a pretty tasty deal. 200 watts is a pretty good place to be. It's powerful enough for your YouTube studio or podcast studio and for smaller shoots like interviews and that sort of stuff out on location. And speaking of interviews, let's talk about the fan noise, which can be an issue obviously if you're also recording audio. Now, the built-in fan of the RC220D Pro it's definitely audible at close range. Here's an example. Now, to give you a more practical example in this test, I mounted this light right next to my key light. Okay, now we have the RC220D Pro set up as my key light, and I'm going to be quiet so we can see if the microphone picks up the fan. Okay, so now we got the Godox VL150 set up as my key light, and I'm going to be quiet so we can hear if the microphone is going to be able to pick it up here. Okay, so let's wrap things up with the overall build quality and maybe who this light might be a great fit for. So first of all, I don't have too much to complain about when it comes to build quality. Like most lights in this category, this price range, the outside is going to be made out of plastic, but on this one, the mount, including the umbrella holder down here, is actually made out of metal entirely. Some other lights in this category will be all plastic and they just reinforce certain areas with metal to make them a bit more sturdier. But here we're getting 100% metal all the way through, and it's actually anchored into metal inside the light as well. So in that sense, I think build quality wise, it's better than most of the competition. In terms of who this light is for, I can imagine those who shoot things like music videos, doc shooters might be interested in this light, especially when you consider the V-mount options and all that fun. Just having the ability to bring light outside or to some remote location and still be able to light your subject and that sort of stuff. The only thing I wish Smallrig would consider perfecting at this point is the noise performance, which is decent, but maybe it's not quite on par with some of the more expensive options. Are you super sensitive to fan noise, that sort of stuff? Let me know in the comment section. But that's gonna be it, so thank you so much for stopping by. As always, there's gonna be some links to this light and the bicolor version and some other fun things like V-mount batteries, obviously, and to our wonderful sponsor, Artlist, so make sure to use that link if you want to snag those 2 extra months for free. But that's it, thank you so much, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!